Welcome again to the Washington SXM podcast as I always say. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. A like is free, so just click the like button. It helps with the algorithm. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload. So today we're talking about someone done this video with this Jewish guy named Solomon. He was doing a video on the reason why Jewish people are so successful, and he's laying the foundation of it. So let's get into it, because I think this formula would work for black people personally. Let's go get into it.
Discussing the Jewish circular economy. A lot of people have said that Jewish people are good at business. Now, instead of me,
which is true, because there are millionaires all over the world,
I'm going to double down and say, heck yeah, we're good at business. Let me teach you some of the secrets that
his name is Solomon
over the past 3,000 years. This being one of the biggest and baddest secrets that we have. You're going to want to stay until the very end of this video, because that's when it's going to all start to make sense. And you're going to be able to apply this not only to yourself, but your community and everybody around you. My name is Beryl Solomon. If this is your first time on my page, please hit the subscribe button. Please leave me a like. Please leave me a comment so that we can be connected more often. Let's jump in. The Jewish circular economy. Let me explain to you how this works. So there's a few core businesses that Jewish people are involved in. Let me first explain to you.
Stick up in. Why I saw this video already, so I'm just reviewing it. It's a review because the Chinese, the Indians, Europeans use this formula. We're black people is the only one who use formula. So let's get into it.
What type of businesses we go into? So one is, it's a business that has to make a lot of money. To be Jewish, it's expensive. I myself, thank God, have 5 kids, and hopefully I'll have more than 5 more. It's expensive to be a Jew, and we need to make a lot of money. So that's number one. Whatever business we go into has to be lucrative. Number two, it has to be moral. It is very rare, if ever, actually I can almost guarantee this, you will never find an Orthodox Jewish man in the strip club business. Yes, it makes a lot of money, but it is not a moral
black business.
Let's talk about some businesses that do make a lot of money and are moral. So let's just talk about like real estate, for example, okay? Let's call real estate one of the core businesses.
Real estate is always the business right now, actually.
So a Jewish man gets a real estate deal. Let's call it 200 units in the Bronx, okay, somewhere, right? And he buys the deal. First of all, the deal most likely is probably coming from a Jewish broker or one of his other Jewish friends in the real estate business. So once he secures that deal, he needs to go finance that deal. So who's the first logical person for him to pick up the phone to?
Another Jew.
A Jewish friend that is in finance, right?
Makes sense, again.
Jewish people that own banks, there's Jewish mortgage brokers, there's Jewish lenders out there. He's going to pick up the phone and he's going to call his buddy that he sees in synagogue every day, because his buddy knows.
Stick up in. But this is the formula most, especially Chinese and Indians that I've worked with, I've seen, does this. The Chinese hire Chinese technicians to fix their fridge. They hire Chinese people to clean their business. They use Chinese people for stock to order and bring in stuff. So we're the only race that doesn't do this, use this formula. If I want to go into a business, I won't use an ex-black person. An ex-black person would tell them, no, that's a bad business to go in. They would never come and work with you. As he say, he bought up a property, he goes to a bank that's owned by a Jew, and they will typically help, and then as we go along, we're going to see more of the stuff that he said they do.
That he's a good guy, he trusts him, and he knows that if spit hits the fan, he knows exactly where he sits, exactly where his house is, exactly
that makes sense,
who to talk
he's a friend.
To make sure he could get through to him. So, Jewish businessman is going to buy the piece of real estate. He's going to want to finance it with one of his Jewish buddies. Now, he's going to have to service that piece of real estate, right? There's snow removal, there's cleaning supplies, there's construction that's going to need to be done. All of those, he's going to try to hire Jewish people and Jewish companies in order to try to fulfill this. And I'm going to explain to you all why. It's going to make sense to you, like I said, by the end, but you got to stick to the end. So now he's hired his buddies to do the construction, like I said, to do the remodeling, to do the construction supplies. Whatever it is, he's going to try to hire Jewish. And now those companies, so for example, like as I mentioned, the construction company, right?
Stick up in. So you hear what he's saying basically? A Jewish person buy a piece of property, but they're going to go to finance it by a Jewish bank. Then from that bank, you go to to do work on the property, you're gonna get a construction company owned by a Jew, a cleaning company owned by a Jew. So we as black people need to do the same thing. If we're gonna get a property, we must. But you see, black people don't have black-owned banks. We don't, and that's one of our biggest disservice. There are 4 major things we need in the black community to survive: is a bank to get loans, a school to teach our young black kids about finances, a supermarket to feed the masses, and there's a third, a fourth one. When you come back to me, I'll bring it up.
Construction. That construction company also needs services. The construction company needs accountant, it needs advertising, it needs office space, it needs all types of ancillary services. So even the supporting the direct services to the real estate, service, right? The construction company, we're just using one of them for example, he's going to try to hire Jewish people to do his indirect services. He's going to hire a Jewish business accountant. He's going to try to hire a Jewish lawyer. He's going to try to rent his office space from his buddy Shlomo, who owns the office building right next to his synagogue. You see what I mean? He's going to try to give that business to those people. And by the way, all the while, all of these people all along the way, guess what they're all doing? Circular economy. They're taking tithes, they're taking at least 10% of their earnings, of their profits, and they're pushing it down to charity.
Stick up in. So you see, again, that makes sense. I don't believe in giving charity to random people. When you're doing charity, you must do it where you can see the effect of the charity actually working, like in your own hometown or your own charity, because then you can see where the money is going. Just giving money to the Red Cross or to all these other companies, to me, it makes no sense because most of this money is lost in the system. They don't get to where it's supposed to go because it's stolen, reused, refinanced to do something else. Because Red Cross get millions or billions of dollars yearly, and they don't money that doesn't go out to where it's supposed to get. Especially in Africa, because these people come out and say they don't give the money to the poor people and buy what they need, the necessary things they need. So back to the business part of it. So here we say, so you see the circle of business. The buyer, the financier, the construction crew, the cleaning crew, and your own people you use, and charity. So so the money gets circulated in the Jewish community at Arkanka. Everything is Jewish owned, and the Chinese do the same thing. Chinese hire their own in everything. The Indians do the same thing. White people do the same thing. I wouldn't call it racism. I call that self-preservation. So for that rate. For that race to grow. So if we as black people do the same thing, but you see that's the thing, we as black people don't want to work together, we rather fight each other, we want to lend each other, finance a property for someone, and if we do use a company to do construction on your property, they try to rob you, overcharge you, steal your material, and cleaners overcharge your own. Especially in the black community, we need to charge our own the most and then charge other races less money. So let's continue.
So that means, and by the way, their own charities, their own synagogues, their own schools, their own food banks, their own disability centers.
Yeah,
why?
Exactly.
Because they want to create this circular economy. Now, let me tell you why. You might be watching it this far. You might say to yourself, how is it fair? Why is it okay that
it is fair for me to use it on?
First of all, not only is it okay, but you're going to understand why and how you could apply this to yourself and your community going forward.
Stick up in. I started a business with one of my family members already once, and I poor. I tell him I will finance the business. I will put up the capital and do the finance. And you know that person of mine used all of the money, didn't do nothing. So all that money, and then that was like for almost a year and a half, And he keep telling me, cause I was in a different country at the time. So I'm not there physically to see the property. And I had trust him enough to say he's doing what he say he's doing with the finances. And business go right down. And he never said nothing until when I reached him and saw like, well, wait, what happened here? That's when you're going to say, oh, this and this happened. So we don't do that in our community. We try to scam our own or go against our own when it comes to businesses. We don't work together to build up our own community.
So let me give you some reasons why a circular economy is good for you. So number one is, this is probably the biggest one, trust.
Trust is
Everybody in
key
this circle.
in business.
Okay? If he has a problem with, let's say, his let's say the real estate guy has a problem with the company that's supplying to him his supplies, his cleaning supplies for his building, and he has a dispute, right? So he ordered $10,000 worth of garbage bags. The garbage bags turned up faulty. Now they have a problem. So he knows, the real estate operator knows, that if he has a problem with any of the people
he can find who it is
because they're Jewish,
they
have common friends, they have common rabbis, they have common associates.
So that's somebody from over yonder.
Will be embarrassed.
You have to go to search and try to
They
find.
won't mess each other up because they go to synagogue with each other. They go to school. Their kids go to school with each other, right? So they're going to be very careful in order to treat each other with respect and dignity. So trust is the number one thing. Here's another thing. They think the same. Okay? A lot of times, I'll get on the phone with people from different cultures. I remember when I was the vice president of my college, and I remember people think different. We had somebody who represented the LGBT community. We had somebody who represented the African American community. We had somebody who represented the Chinese.
Stop it there because I kind of get the gist of what he was saying, and I hope you all understand what he was saying just now about the circle with the original person who get the property. This can be used in any business idea. This is a universal business idea. The circle, which means financier, the person who won the property, the financier, the crew, and charity. So that's four things he's saying that you need, the core. And now I remember what he says, you have to do business that's moral. So don't go into business trying to trick people, fool people, or rob people, or use people. If you're a moral person and you're doing business, the more straightforward you are in a business, the more money you make, instead of to steal, deceit, hide, and lie. So that's a good foundation to lay whenever you're starting a business, in any business at all alone. But it's so difficult in our black community, again, because we try to use each other, get to one over each other. I'm not saying this is all black people like this, but let's say majority, because there's exceptions here. I've seen people work together as a black people and come together and farm business, and it works. But most of the time it doesn't work, they fall apart. That's why you have so many black businesses closing down. Banks, we don't have any banks. Schools, we don't have any black owned schools. Supermarkets, we don't really have any supermarkets because supermarkets dominated by the Indians and the Chinese. So you don't really find a black owned supermarket. And what else? School, bank, and the hospital. We don't have no hospital. We don't own a hospital either. We don't have that, and that's something key every society need. Bank, school, supermarket, hospital, and these are all owned by Chinese, Indians, and whites. So if we need to get back to that for us to succeed in life. And until that's done, we're gonna have a hard knock, and then we're gonna have people who blame others, say, "Oh, it's because of racism." No, because we don't come together and work together and proceed and progress. You don't know anyway. You don't know what it is. It's the Wilton. It is the Washington SXM podcast. You don't know what it is. Peace, one love, boom.